Welcome back to the Game Gear restoration journey. In part 1, we dug through a whole pile of Game Gears and we picked out our donor system, completed a full cap kit, and kind of brought all the power rails and everything back to life. If you missed that episode, link to that video is going to be up here, and I'll leave a link down in the description below. Today in part 2, we're taking the next big step, which is installing the RetroSix CleanScreen version 3.1 on this Game Gear. We're going to get rid of this compact fluorescent and the old school LCD screen and modernize it quite a bit. This upgrade completely transforms the look of the handheld, makes the screen really pop, makes everything look really good. And once again, this video is sponsored by Handheld Legend. Big shout out to them. Thanks for sponsoring. They sent us a screen that we're going to install today. So let's crack into it. All right, the first thing we need to do is remove all the unnecessary components from our board. So that includes the old screen, this compact fluorescent. There's a few components on the board, and actually some of the capacitors that we installed are part of the power section for this compact fluorescent and the screen itself. And we're not going to use those anymore. We're gonna tap into power other places. So I'm actually going to remove all of that too, because anything we can get out of here will help for clearance issues when we start putting everything in the shell. So starting out, I'm just going to peel up this tape here. Make sure not to damage any of these traces. Just using a little hot air and the weight of the board, kind of slowly remove everything. We don't want to lose any of the pins back there. We are going to tap into a couple of these later, but we'll get into that when we get there. All right, I have a 2 ASIC board. So the capacitors that I'm not going to need are 35, 37, 39, and 44. We have C35, C37 here, C39 here, C44 here, and C45 here. Here on the back side of this fluorescent tube, you can see there are fuses here. These fuses come out and the tubes themselves come out. The fuses go into these points here, and the tube itself is soldered at this point here. So we're going to start with the tube. Just applying a little bit of heat right on the point. It's marked FL for fluorescent. And when the solder melts, just pull it through. You know, you could use a solder sucker here too. Just melt it down and pull that way. But honestly, you know, melting the solder and pulling it through just like that, super simple. Okay, with that, this right here is L2. This provided the high voltage to the fluorescent itself, to run the fluorescent. We're not going to need any of that high voltage anymore. I'm just going to pull this out of circuit altogether. This is kind of an important step because you really don't want to be creating this voltage with nowhere for it to go. So we pull it out of circuit. We don't have to worry about it anymore. For this one here, I think I am going to go ahead and use the solder sucker. So to make life a little easier, I'm going to add some solder to my 2 points here, some fresh solder.
Today's video is sponsored by Handheld Legend. And if you mod or restore handhelds or consoles, you've got to check them out. These guys have everything. Screens, shells, buttons, speakers, cap kits, power board parts, tools, accessories, literally everything you need. I use their parts all the time, and if you want the same upgrades I use on my channel, hit the link. It saves you money and it directly supports me and the channel. Big shout out to Handheld Legend for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back into it.
All right, the next series of components that we need to remove is this section right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these components. I want to say this is R32, 33, 34, and Q6. So this capacitor here in the middle is actually going to stay installed. We're going to leave that here. We want to move 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 components here. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to basically have some tweezers over the component, and I'm going to add hot air until it starts to flow the solder, and then try to sort of slowly take them off without desoldering anything around it. It can be a little tricky. Most of the time, if the heat from the hot air does melt the solder on the components around it, it's okay. Just don't touch the components and they won't come off. If they do, we can always reattach them. Careful around that contrast wheel. Keep the air moving and try to deflect it away if you can. A little bit of pressure here. All right, there we go. And that's what you're looking for. We want this is a capacitor. We want this capacitor to stay in place, but we want all 4 of these components removed. So perfect. I want to clean up the area, but I'm giving a little bit of time because we absolutely softened up the solder around that area. So give it a little bit of time before you go hitting it with some alcohol and the old camel hair brush. Been a while since we made a camel hair brush joke, so you know, if you've been here since the beginning, you know, hit me in the comments with a camel hair. I'd love to see it. Now that we have our components removed, some of the things we need to do for installation, we need the horizontal sync and the vertical sync from these pins. Hey there, it's Rich from the future. So as I thought when I was installing everything, you don't need the horizontal and vertical on the LCD connector if you have this new style ribbon cable. You have your vertical sync and horizontal sync coming right here off of this ASIC chip, so you don't need it. Not sure if this applies to the other cables or the other boards, the single ASIC boards, but on my build right here, I do not need them right here. I went ahead and measured everything out from these pins to the board and even back to the LCD connector, and it's all interconnected. So save yourself some time, skip that step if you're using this flex cable and a 2 ASIC board. Running out of room on my bench, but the next step we're moving into is the installation of these ribbon cables. So inside the box is the main board that's going to hook to our screen. We've got 2 sets of ribbon cables. We've got the back plates that'll go on the center of the screen, and we've got the screen itself. So the screen itself and the back plates and even the main board we're going to set aside for right now, and we're just going to talk about these ribbon cables that come in. The ribbon cables are actually built really well. You know, when it comes to a soldering job, they're actually really nice. They line up very well. So what came in this kit from Handheld Legend was two types of wires, because, you know, at the time when they sent it to me, they didn't know if I was going to be working on one chip, like a 1 ASIC or a 2 ASIC board. The difference is pretty obvious here. So if let me get these down to where you can kind of see the other side are exactly the same. These two they're flipped, but Yeah, these two are the same here. So the other side you don't have to worry about. The side of what we were just cleaning up. No, actually, I think this is gonna be the power side is what we've been cleaning up. These are all the same. The other side is very different. So you'll see on the one chip, there's only a certain, it's kind of a smaller section. This is the back side of each cable. This isn't the side we're going to be soldering, but I kind of want you to see the footprint of them. This is the one we're going to be using. This is the 2 chip. The 1 chip has fewer connections, or I guess it's the same connections. They're just tighter together. And then you can see here where all of your solder points and solder connections are going to be on this one. And this is the one we're going to use. So I'm going to save this one for the next project. All right, back in the microscope, the sections that we need to solder here. So, all right, it's gonna get a little tricky, and I'm hoping you guys get a good shot of this. My microscope is kind of limited on the screen, which actually I'm hoping to change in coming videos. I'm looking at a little bit nicer scope that I can upgrade to. We're going to need this point right here on the component that we took off, that little transformer that we took off. And that point is going to be aligned with this 5-volt circle right here. So when you do that, you can start to see how this component lines up. And then up here, we're going to take 2 points off the contrast wheel for the backlight. Basically, the resistance settings going to come in and let us know. And then this down here will be on C29. So get this lined up the best we can. I like to start with this 5-volt right here. Get that lined up, then everything else kind of just falls into place. But you need to look like, so it's drooping down a little bit, so we can come up a little. All right, a little bit of flux. We'll tack this in place. You can also, in doing these in the past, I have taped these down before when I get them into place. I'm hoping that's not necessary here, but if it is, it is. We will do what we need to do to get everything lined up. That actually looks pretty good. I think we're gonna go with it. So on each point, just add a little flux. On these surface mounts, I recommend do one side at a time, because you don't want that surface mount to come off, So that's set up there. And just kind of carefully work our way through it. Like to take my little smudger tool here and just go through, and not with a lot of pressure, but you'll see it move. If it's not connected, you'll see it move. The other side ribbon cable is quite a bit more intense, we'll just say. This is one of the caps from our kit. I had to kind of lean that up a little and slide this underneath that to get into place. So right here, off of this component right here, we're going to pick up our clock. And then up here, T10, you can see test point 10 right here is kind of our alignment. What I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to start down here because this is where the most complexity is, and I'll make sure everything lines up well. I'm just going to start on this part of the board right here and get a good connection to where we can then sort of start to line everything up. That's our plan. Now that I have that, start to sort of look at. So T10's kind of an easy lineup. We'll go with that one next. Let it cool. Let it cool for a second so we don't disrupt any of these onboard components. And then we'll get in there with some alcohol and clean everything up. You kind of take a look at the kit. The kit has two things. The side where the screen fits in is going to face away, and then this nice flat flush side is going to sit right here on the front side of the board. And you can see here, this has like a little leg on it. This has a little leg on it. So we line up our screw holes there. We line up our screw holes, and then we can put this board over top. Right, nice. Now we got to attach our ribbon cables here. Another option, let's talk about this real quick. So another option on this board is there is a VGA or an HDMI output that you can have. You can actually send this to an output, and I think some people have used this connector. Some people just added in a new connector to where you can actually have display on the screen. I'm not adding that portion of this kit, but kind of an interesting thing. If it's something you want to see in the future, maybe next time on the next one I do, I can run through that process for you. So if you want to see the HDMI output, leave me a comment. Let me know. If I see enough comments, I'll put a video together on it. Let me see if I can give you a good look at this. The bail that holds this ribbon in place is this darker gray part back here. Like so, and then the bail can be flipped, locked into place. The screen installation is pretty simple. It sits right into this cradle. I'm not going to take my screen protector off yet because I'm probably going to be doing some work on this before we get the full case put together. But it sits right down here into this lip here on the bottom, right down here, and then it clips into place up top here. Just like that. I have to be honest with you. This was the part I was most concerned with, was the alignment and things like that. And man, they just did a phenomenal job with this kit. Outstanding work. And then this bail right here flips up, and this slides right in. Lock it into place, just like so. All right. Look at that. Okay. That's a wrap on part 2 of our Game Gear restoration journey. We've got the RetroSix CleanScreen 3.1 installed, getting it all cleaned up and set up. This thing is looking great. I'm going to tell you, after a cap kit, this mod is definitely my recommendation to finish off a Game Gear. This thing is great. The alignment, the tools, the ribbon, everything was done really well. It's a great build. In part 3, we're going to go into the rest of the build. We're going to take care of the audio section, the power board. We're going to do full buttons and shell and get this thing put together and good to go. Huge thank you again to Handheld Legend for sponsoring the series. You're going to find my link down in the description. If you want to grab the parts I'm using for all my builds, hit that link up. It'll save you a few bucks and it helps support the channel. So really appreciate those guys. Handheld Legend coming through clutch. They sent me all the pieces and parts I need for this entire build. So thanks again to those guys. Thanks again to you guys for hanging out. If you like the video, leave me a comment, and we'll see you in the next one.